Hi, hello, my name is Gomer Joseph. I hope you've all been having a great day so far. Welcome back to another True Crime Tuesdays video. If you are new, I welcome you. Today, I'll be discussing the unsolved disappearance of Missy Bevers. Doing research for this case, I not only found it very upsetting, but it was very disturbing. Missy was doing something that she regularly did, but just one moment out of many, her life was taken away in the strangest scenario. It's really crazy to think that all of the evidence that the police do have, that this case has been unsolved for this long. Now, I encourage you all to do your own research with this case and not to just look at my video for all of the information. Here we go. Missy Bevers was born on August 9th of 1970 in Graham, Texas, to parents James and Norma Strickland. Missy did have two brothers named Clifford and Clint. Now, Missy, her actual name, she went by Missy, but her actual name is Terry Leanne, and she grew up in Jacksboro, Texas. Missy was someone who made friends easily. She was known to be sweet, goal-driven. She had a burden to help out those around her. Family was extremely important to Missy, and she loved to be an encouragement to others. Missy was someone who had a positive attitude and a passion for fitness. Now, her passion for fitness grew to the point where she was even encouraging others to get fit and take care of themselves. Now, later on in life, around the time that she was teaching special needs students, she married a man named Brandon Bevers, and they had three daughters together named Hannah, Allie, and Sarah. On April 18th of 2016, Missy is 45 years old at this point, and she is a resident of Red Oak, Texas. She attended the Mithlonians Creekside Church of Christ, where she was also a fitness instructor there. From what I gathered, she really would start her classes early in the morning, real early. So that specific day, of course, like usual, she went to church really early, at 4 a.m. So I can only imagine what time she actually woke up, but she was, she arrived at church at 4 a.m. And if you are watching this and you wake up at 4 a.m. or even early, especially to get active, then I give you props, because I know for sure I could never do something like that. But again, Missy arrived at 4 a.m. to set up for her fitness class. At 5 a.m., her students arrived like they were supposed to, but when they walked into the classroom, they were met with a gruesome sight. Those in Missy's fitness class discovered Missy lying unconscious with a head injury and cuts all over her chest. Of course, the students immediately called 911, but not long after the paramedics arrived at the church, Missy unfortunately passed away. When her loved ones were informed of this unexpected and violent passing of Missy, they were absolutely devastated to learn that there would be a hole in their lives since Missy was no longer living. Since Missy clearly had her life taken away, the police have an investigation on their hands. Now, as they were looking, around the building, they were able to detect that the church did have surveillance cameras. So the police, they look at the surveillance cameras and they find something incredibly odd. In the surveillance camera on the day that Missy lost her life, the police saw that there was an individual dressed up like some SWAT team member in riot gear, carrying a hammer with the word police on their back. Because of all of this heavy armor and, the way that this person was walking, it was pretty much unclear whether it was a man or a woman. To this day, it's still pretty unclear whether this is a man or a woman. But in the video, of course, the suspect is walking around. They are walking into doors and breaking doors with the hammer. But sadly, Missy was in the church, and this person found Missy, then proceeded to take her life in the most gruesome way. Since the police found marks on the back door of the church, investigators initially thought that this was just a robbery gone wrong. Those thoughts changed when investigators found that nothing in the church was stolen and that nothing that Missy had, including her wedding ring, was taken from her. Like, all of her belongings were still on her. These details made investigators wonder whether Missy was specifically targeted. After looking through Missy's phone, investigators found messages that she got a few days before her life was taken away. So when Missy received these messages, she did show it to a friend, but I don't know exactly what these messages specifically said, and I don't know exactly who said it since the name was never released to the public, but the messages were said to be flirtatious and creepy. Of course, like most investigations, like Missy's case, the police questioned the spouse. They questioned Missy's husband, Brandon, but they didn't really find anything on him that would tie Brandon to the crime. Brandon informed investigators how he didn't know who would even want to harm Missy because, again, Missy was not the sort of person who made enemies. Like, she was somebody who made friends easily. Brandon did state that Missy did own a gun, but unfortunately, the day that her life was robbed, the gun was unfortunately left in her car instead of her bringing it inside of the church with her, which I can kind of understand because usually when you walk into a church, you should feel safe. Like, on top of that, she regularly held these fitness classes early in the morning without any previous issues at all. So just really thinking about that, like, it really does suck that one time. I mean, of course, like, I would assume that she always kept her gun inside of the car, but that one time out of all the times that she was teaching that fitness class without any trouble was that the unexpected outcome cost Missy her life. Now let me go ahead and get back to Brandon. So though his alibi did check out, the police still found out that his and Missy's marriage was far from perfect. The police found out that their marriage was pretty much plagued with financial issues and even adultery. And when I digged into this further, it seemed like Missy was having an affair, but Brandon, when he found out, it seemed like he was pretty much willing to work through it and to really work hard to let their marriage survive. But despite those huge flaws in their marriage, Brandon and even his daughters were adamant that he is innocent regardless of how imperfect that marriage was. Not only was Brandon pretty much looked at, but his father, Randy, was looked at as well. Now, a few days after Missy passed away, Brandon's father, Randy, went to the dry cleaners with holding this bloodstained shirt which belonged to a woman. When he reached to the dry cleaners with this bloody shirt that belonged to a woman, he was claiming that he was breaking up a dog fight. When I first heard about this, detail, it really, caught me off guard because, I was just thinking, initially, what does a woman have to do with, some dog fight? Because, that's not your shirt. This shirt belongs to some lady. So it turns out that Brandon's sister, Christy, was there when the dog fight broke out. So it makes sense why he was holding a woman's shirt, because it belonged to his daughter. But the coworker didn't know that. The coworker was like, no, this is weird. I'm calling the police. And the shirt was analyzed because, it was just shown that the shirt, somebody was trying to go ahead and clean off blood off of the shirt at first. So, but again, the police knew about the story with, Christy being present at the dog fight. So they really couldn't charge Brandon with Brandon's father with anything. Because another thing that really made Brandon's father, Randy, a bit suspicious was because he had a limp and the suspect had a limp. But again, like, the police found out that Randy was actually in California the day that Missy's life was taken. After looking into more surveillance footage, the police did notice a 2010 or 2012 Nissan Altima was driving around the church parking lot a couple of hours before Missy was attacked, but the driver was never identified. Now, I also saw that there was another vehicle that was found near the parking lot. This time it was like a dark SUV, and it left the church parking lot like around 4:30 a.m. Now, in 2019, the police received tips regarding former officer Bobby Henry, who admitted to still owning riot gear, but he stated that this riot gear attire didn't fit him anymore. The reason why Henry is no longer an officer is because he lost his job due to assaulting someone back in 1996. He also had a limp, but Henry was a bit taller than the suspect because Henry was 6 foot while the suspect was like 5'2" or 5'8". There was still a search warrant for Henry's house, and it shows that Henry was really a perv who was looking at child porn. Despite finding, child pornography in his house, Henry denied knowing Missy, but he did work as a security guard at her funeral. So I guess, even doing that, even like being a security guard at somebody's funeral, I can understand how that doesn't automatically mean that you knew them personally. Henry did have an alibi, but for some odd reason, he wasn't thrown into nor thrown under the prison when he was caught with containing child pornography. That is pretty much all of the information that I gathered about Missy's case. Now, if you are watching this video and you have any information at all, please be a snitch. Call 911 or call the Ellis County Crime Stoppers, which number is 972-937-7297. It's been almost 7 full years since Missy's life was taken. Whoever took her life had robbed her family of so much. Her 3 daughters have spent almost 7 full years missing their mother as they grow up and live their life without her. Of course, all of Missy's loved ones miss her, and they are all desperate for answers. My prayer is that God would comfort Missy's loved ones and that they would seek him. I also do pray that God would provide them with the answers that they've been searching for all of these years. The God that I serve, the God of the Bible, is a God of justice, and he will make sure that justice is served. I thank you all for taking the time in your day to watch this video. If you did like this video, please feel free to hit the like button. If you have any thoughts on this case at all, please leave your thoughts in the comment section below. If you'd like to see more videos from me, please feel free to subscribe and click the bell to be notified about the next video. If there is a certain true crime case that you'd like me to cover, go ahead and let me know. I will see y'all for next True Crime Tuesdays, and I will talk to y'all later.